Hello, everyone, and welcome to the When I Work live Q&A webinar. We are going to be getting started here in 1 or 2 minutes, but we will be just waiting those 1 or 2 minutes to let everyone join who wants to join today, let everyone get settled, and then we will be getting started with content here shortly. While we wait, feel free to use the chat tool. You can chat with us. You can let us know where you're joining us from, what kind of work you are scheduling and time tracking for. It's always really fun for us to get to know you all a little bit better in these few minutes that we wait. So feel free to chat with us while we wait here. When I Work does schedule for all different types of businesses. So it's not just one type of business that uses When I Work. I have been with When I Work for quite a while, and I have worked with all different types of companies, all different types of businesses, and I have worked with tons of different types of setups. So whatever you are trying to accomplish with When I Work today, we will probably have a pretty great solution for you. All right, welcome, Steve from Stumpy's Hatchet House. Welcome, Kelly, Central Studio Manager, scheduling for several trainers with different classes. I have seen a lot of different types of like workout classes, fitness studios, things like that use When I Work. So F45 I have heard of before, so welcome. And then, awesome, welcome, Mike. When I Work also does schedule for businesses all across the United States and all across the world as well. So wherever you're joining us from today, welcome. There's always somebody that joins the webinar from somewhere completely across the world. And I think it's always very fascinating and interesting to see where you all are from. Welcome, Candace from Blue Ribbon Health Staffing. Again, we also do work with a lot of different healthcare companies, staffing healthcare, hospitals, smaller clinics, all sorts. And then welcome Jamie as well, also from Stumpy's Hatchet House. All right. Okay, looks like our attendees have leveled off for the most part, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. So I just want to welcome you all one last time to the live Q&A. We're so happy to have you all join, and we're really excited to help you get started with When I Work. My name is Marie, and I'm joined by Tiffany. We're part of the customer onboarding team here at When I Work, and our mission is to help new users and new accounts transition to When I Work as smoothly and seamlessly as possible. So during the next 30-ish minutes, we're going to be answering your When I Work questions. We're going to show you some ways that you can schedule, track time for your employees, communicate with your employees, and hopefully we'll go over all the different tools we have, but the direction of the webinar is going to be directed by the questions that you all ask us today. So the questions are going to be flowing in, and we'll get to as many as we can. But if your question does not get answered, or you come up with something new and just want some one-on-one attention, we will be going over all the different ways that you can contact us at the end of the webinar session. So stick around for that. We have a whole resource guide and packet for you all. If you're totally new to When I Work and just checking out your new account, we also will go over the different plans that we offer at the end. So stick around if you're interested in that information and how to upgrade your account, manage your account billing. And then if you are already using When I Work and you just have a couple of questions, you can feel free to ask any questions that you have, even if you are already using When I Work. All right, so we can go ahead and get started. You can submit your questions to the Q&A button. We'll be turning off the chat tool, just the tool that we got to know you better on, and we'll be using just the Q&A. So if you have any questions now or anytime during the webinar, pop those in the Q&A. Tiffany is going to be going through all of those questions and grabbing as many as she can to ask out loud. And I'm going to be sharing my When I Work demo account just to give you all a better visual idea of the answers to your questions here today. So before we go ahead and get started, I'll show you a little bit of the When I Work account. I am logged in right now as the main admin on my account. That's just the person who started the When I Work account or has been given admin level access. It's the highest level access. But something important to note is that your employees see a pretty similar view to what you see on the web and mobile app. So when your employees log in, they'll see a screen pretty similar to this. They won't see anything that they're not supposed to see, and they can't change any settings, things like that. The top menu bar is your main navigational center for When I Work. This is where you can access your scheduler, where you create shifts for your employees, schedule out your schedule, and notify your employees when they're supposed to work. Your attendance tool, this is where your employees clock in and out and where you can see all of your employees' timesheets. The work chat tool here is our in-app messaging system, just meant to boost that communication with your team. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have our gear icon with all the settings for your different When I Work tools, your integrations landing page, and your account and billing page where you can upgrade your account. A really important tab here is the workplace icon. This is where you can add in what I like to think of as all of the building blocks of your When I Work account. So this includes all of the employees in your account. This is where you'll add them. This is where you can create those really handy shift templates, things like that. And then last but not least, this is where we have all of our requests. So the tray icon will handle all of the requests within your account, things like shift requests for coverage, time off requests for that time off within your account. And you can also request time off for your team here as well. So with that being said, just a little quick tour, we can go ahead and get started with our questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Marie. Our first question is from Steve. How do you handle multiple locations? Sounds like we can go over schedules and job sites.
Awesome question. I always like this question at the beginning. I think it gives a great idea of how When I Work works as a whole. So if you do have multiple locations that you're wanting to schedule your team at, you definitely can manage that within your one When I Work account. But there are two different methods, really depending on how you like to see your account and also what kind of locations you are scheduling for. So the first way to designate different locations within your When I Work account would be creating a different schedule for each location. You can toggle between your different schedules on the left-hand side here by clicking this down arrow, and you can toggle to the different schedules that you've made. You can assign the schedules that your employees are going to show up on or they're allowed to work at within your employee list. So you can see on this column here for schedules, these are the schedules or locations that your employees are going to be showing up on. So to add those, you'll go to Edit Your Employee, move over to your Assignments tab, and add in any schedules that your employees can work at here, and always make sure to save your employees. Back in the scheduler, you can see again, I'm just going to be toggling back and forth between my two different locations or my two different schedules here. Two different schedules or multiple schedules is a really great use case if you have a more limited amount of locations. So if you have 2 retail locations or 3 coffee shops, or if you want to divide your team up in departments or smaller teams, that would be a great use case for using those multiple schedules. You can create your schedules again under this workplace icon and your schedules tab. You'll just add any schedules you need here. And then again, back in the scheduler, they'll show up under this little schedule tab, and you can move back and forth between your schedules. If you have employees that are able to work at both locations, you'll always be able to see if they have another scheduled shift at one of the other locations, so you don't double book them. The other tool for creating and managing different locations within your When I Work account is going to be using the job site tool. The job site tool is just an assignment of a location that you can add on to one specific shift. So you can see, for example, here we have a shift for Monica from 7 to 2. I'm going to open up this shift by clicking the pen icon just so you can see the anatomy of a When I Work shift. You have the start and stop time, the position or what your employee will be doing on the shift, and then you can add a job site here. So I'm going to pull that down and I'm going to add in location A, for example. Once I save that in, you can see on my schedule that this shift is now at location A. If you have a couple of locations that you're all using on your account, so you have multiple shifts all at different locations, you can always use our filter tool to filter which job sites you want to see. And this is going to really help, visually making sure that there's coverage, that your employees are at the right locations, that you have enough shifts at all those different locations. So you can just see no job sites, you can just see a particular job site. So you can see that this is the only shift at location A. So you're only going to be seeing that shift, and you can do the same thing for all the different job sites in your account. So that the job site tool is a great use case if you have a lot of different job sites. That's what I always say. If you are a construction company and your employees are going to a ton of different offsite remote job locations, or if you're if you are a cleaning company and you have a ton of different clients, things like that, I would use the job site tool. And you can create job sites the same way that you create schedules. You'll be using this icon, going down into job sites, and then just adding a job site here. So you can see all the different, reasons that you might use a job site. So maybe different clients, maybe you are designating equipment for a shift. And then of course, just those regular locations, location A, location B, whatever kind of off the regular job location you want to designate that shift for.
Awesome. Those are some of my favorite features too, the schedules, job sites, and locations. It's just so awesome. And great questions, you guys. This is amazing. So our next question is from Kelly. How to handle multiple shifts for an employee with shifts having different pay rates? I think it's a great time to go over positions and how to assign wages and give them a shift that applies those wages.
Great question. So you can be assigning a pay rate to the different positions that your employees are working within When I Work. So then when your employees clock in and clock out and clock all of their hours for working those specific shifts at those specific pay rates, When I Work will calculate the amount that your employee is owed at the end of your payroll cycle. So I can show you how you can do that within When I Work. You'll be hovering over the workplace icon, clicking down into employees. From there, you will edit your employee. So just, popping their profile open and then toggling down into hourly rates. From there, you will add a base hourly rate. This is the rate that your employee is going to work and be paid no matter what, no matter which position they're working. It's just that base pay. And then by the position that your employees are assigned within the assignments here, so under which positions that they can work, back in hourly rates, you can change the rate by the position that your employees are working. So maybe you have the wait staff is going to be at 14 instead of 10. And this is also a really great tool if you want to add in holiday hours. So if you want a holiday pay, you'll just be adding a holiday position into your employee's account, going into the hourly rates, and then adding in, that extra pay for if it's a holiday pay hours. Always remember to save your employees again. And then when your employee is assigned a shift at that specific position and they clock in and out for that position, their pay will be calculated based on their hourly rates within their profile.
Awesome. Our next question is also from Kelly. Each class has 2 trainers. Will we have the functionality to book multiple staff at the same time? So I think showing creating a shift and how you could maybe copy those over to another employee so they both have the same shift would be awesome.
Definitely. You can always have employees working the same times and the same days within when I work. So I'm going to be adding in a shift into Joey's empty cell here for Monday the 6th. I'm just going to pop that open and I'm going to add in a 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. barista shift. And if this was a specific class, you could always create a position that says that specific class. So maybe it's Pilates or, weightlifting or something like that. Any sort of class you can add in as a position and make that the kind of name of that shift. So you'll be adding in that shift. And so you can see that now Joey is scheduled for that shift. But if you want, you can also have another employee on the same day and the same time working that shift. You can either just add in another shift for that employee, just like that, or I'm going to quickly delete that to show how you can copy. If you want to quickly copy a shift, you can always click Command on your keyboard, click on the shift, and then drag and drop that to another employee just to quickly copy it, because that probably is faster than creating those shifts. So you can always copy all of those shifts really easily by using the Command button, clicking down on the shift, dragging and dropping. And then so you can see we have Monday the 6th here. We actually now have 3 employees on the same barista shift or, the same class in your case. So you got 3 people in there working the same times and it's no problem.
Awesome. And then Steve would like to know if we could go over the auto scheduling feature. Also another one of my favorite things that we have. Super
Definitely.
cool.
It is so cool. I will go over the auto scheduler. So for those of you who don't know, we do have an auto assign tool. This is going to push out all of your open shifts to your employees without you having to do it manually. So the way that this works is you're going to be creating shifts in your open shift row. The open shift row is a row of unassigned shifts. So instead of having your shifts added to your employees individually, so this would be directly just for Rachel. You can always be creating shifts in your open shift row to add in any shifts that are unassigned. If you aren't using the auto assign tool and just using the open shift tool, just quick note, when you publish out those shifts, your employees will be able to grab those shifts first come, first serve. But if you leave them unpublished, you'll always have the option to use the auto assign. So I'm actually just going to use a template here that I've created for the auto assign. I'm going to apply that template. So this is just an example of maybe the full coverage that you need for a week for your workplace. So you've added in all the shifts that you need your employees to work or you need covered. And instead of adding them to your employees manually, you can just run the auto assign. It will pop open a couple of settings that you can configure in your account. So things like respecting your employees' unavailability and availability preferences, or allowing, multiple shifts to be scheduled in one day, and then things like max hours. So you can always make sure that you aren't going over a certain amount of hours that your employees are supposed to be working. From there, you can run the auto assign and you can see it's pushed out all of those shifts. Again, it's going to be pushed out based on your employees' qualifications. So if they're able to work specific positions, like if they're available to work the cook position, if they're not a cook, they won't be scheduled in for a cook position. It'll also be respecting employees' unavailability preferences. And then it'll respect things like time off as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save those shifts in the schedule so you can see all these shifts were able to be pushed out based on all of those qualifications. Any shifts that aren't able to be pushed out based on all of these will be remaining in open shifts. From there, you can either publish out those shifts, again, for your employees to grab first come, first serve, or you can go ahead and use the drag and drop to assign those shifts to your employees manually if you don't want to be leaving them as open shifts. So it's a really great way just to save a little bit of time. If you're using the template tool alongside the auto assign tool, you are going to be really leveling up your scheduling and saving yourself a lot of time.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next question is from Kelly again. If the schedule's booked, then the trainers would like to change among themselves. Will the app allow them to make the change? Sounds like a great time to go over swapping and dropping.
Great question. So yes, we do have a lot of coverage options that allow your employees to have a little bit more say over their schedule and to make sure that they get their swaps and drops and their preferences all done on their end without you having to do this manually or any other manager having to do this manually by having someone call in or leave a note, things like that. That can lead to a lot of confusion, missed shifts, and generally unhappy employees and managers. So we have created some coverage options. So I'm going to be going into my scheduling settings just to show more of this. So the whole shift coverage section is going to have all of the swapping, dropping, and coverage options that your employees are able to use. You can turn these all on and off, whatever you want to be allowed in your workplace. It's quite customizable. So the two really popular coverage tools are going to be the swaps and the drops. So if you allow dropping of shifts, your employees can see a scheduled shift that they have, they can select drop that shift, and then they can drop or give that shift to another eligible employee. The same kind of idea for swapping. They can simply swap two shifts with, again, another eligible employee. So someone who is assigned to the same schedule, the same positions, sub tags, things like that. You can also turn on manager reviews. So if you want a manager to kind of intercept that request and say, yep, that swap looks good or that drop looks good, go ahead and they will approve or deny those requests. You can definitely turn on manager review as well. If you turn it off, it will all be within the hands of your employees to make sure that all of those go through. But you can always require that manager review as well. And then one other thing that is a pretty cool tool, it's not for everyone, but it is our releasing tool. So if you're using the Open Shift tool, if your employee is scheduled for a shift that they are not able to work, they can, if you are allowing them to, they can release their shifts back into open shifts for another eligible employee to grab first come, first serve. There's no manager approval allowed for that releasing, so that is all on your employee's hands there. But it is a really cool tool if you're using the Open Shift tool and if you have more of a self-scheduling model. And then the last thing I'll say about this is that we do have a little bit more like options. If you want your employees to make sure that their shifts aren't dropped too late in the game, you can always turn on that to make sure that your employees aren't swapping shifts too late. And there's always going to be someone covering that shift. You can always turn that on as well.
Awesome. It's such a great feature. It's so nice to be able to swap and drop. Marie and I just swapped a shift just the other day. Super easy, all done, and everything was covered.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Steve. How do you set security settings / manager levels?
Oh, great question. I'm going to hover into my workplace menu and into my employee list here to show that. So we have a couple of different roles that you can set to give certain users a higher admin level access privilege or just a higher access level in general. So we have 4 different roles that any employee can, have within when they work. The first level is just the employee level. That is just, I always kind of say, a view only level. Employees can see their schedule, they can swap and drop shifts, they can clock in and out if they're allowed to, things like that. But they're only checking when I work for their schedule or clocking themselves in or out, just kind of an employee. And then there's 3 access levels that are kind of higher than the employee access level. You can change those within your employee's profile and under role here. So just right above the employee level is the supervisor level. This level is going to be a management level, but that supervisor can only manage employees that are assigned to the same schedules as them. So it's a really great use case if you are creating departments and you have a different manager for each of those departments. Make that user a supervisor, and then they'll only be able to manage employees on their same department or on their same schedule as them. Then that second level up is going to be manager. This level can do all sorts of the management activities that the supervisor can do, set shifts for employees, edit employees' timesheets, add employees into the system, things like that. But the manager is able to manage employees on all schedules. So regardless of the schedule that they are added to, they can manage and see all the employees in the account. And then the highest level is the admin. There can be 3 admin in one account. The special thing about the admin level is that only admins can see the account and billing page. So things like upgrading your account, changing any billing information, things like that, only an admin can do that. And there's a couple of other small kind of differences between things like supervisor and manager and admin, and they're quite important. Things like who can see your employees' wages in the account. So all that information is actually going to be found under our help center. If you search access level or manager or privileges, we have an entire article with a big chart that will tell you with little X's all of the things that your employees can and can't do if they're given specific access levels. So take a look at that article. We can also send it to you if you chat in. So take a look at that just to make sure that your employees can do the things that you want them to do, even if you give them higher level of access in your account.
Awesome. Our next question is, how can my employees clock in and out, and how can I review their work times?
Great question. So we do have an attendance or a time and attendance tool. This is an add-on to your account. And if you have this add-on, your employees can clock in and out using When at Work. It works beautifully with our scheduler. So I would really take a look at that if you do want to create a really streamlined, employee management system where everything is just done within the one app. Employees really love this because they can do it from their mobile phones. But if you do have this tool turned on, I'll just hop into timesheets. Your employees can clock in and out 3 ways. They can clock in and out from their computers. So they'll be logging into their account, hovering over attendance, clicking clock in. You could also set up any device as a terminal. So if you are on a computer, you'll just click lock as terminal here. If you want to use a mobile device, you'll be downloading the When I Work terminal app. And essentially the terminal kind of mimics a more, one of those classic time clock machines where your employees will come into the office. It's an on-site only option. They will log into, they will either add their email or their code. If you set a code for them, they'll just type that into the terminal and that'll clock them in for them, and the same for clock out. And then the third option, probably the most popular option for When I Work, is having employees clock in and out on their mobile phones. I'm going to go into my attendance settings here just to show more. So if you turn on the mobile clock in option, your employees will be able to clock in and out using their mobile phone. They'll get a big green button at the bottom of their mobile app, and all they have to do is click that button to clock in. If you want, you can also turn on location restrictions, so your employees can't clock in or out if they are not at their scheduled location. So that always comes up with mobile clock in, but we do have restrictions for that, so don't worry. And employees love using that mobile clock in button. You can review your employees' times from their timesheet here. So here are all of your employees in the system. All of their timesheets will be available by clicking on their name. Always make sure that you are in the correct pay period too. So right now I'm in Chandler's timesheet for the pay period from the 17th through the 31st. And you can see all the different times that they clocked in and out in a day. And all of the details of the shifts that they're clocking in for will be under this detail row here. You can always view the entry history of that time punch just to see where your employees clocked in and out, how they did, who did, or if there was any editing going on, if you are allowing editing of a timesheet. So that's always a great little option there under this eye icon. From here, you can always close your period and it will create a payroll summary for you. I can show you a close period down here. So here is a payroll summary for when I work. So it'll show you all of your employees, all of their times, and if you are using the wage tool, how much they are owed. From there, you can export your period hours. By default, you'll just be exporting that into Excel, or you can set up a payroll integration with us. So if you do use any of these payroll processors, you can set up an integration so your hours are just sent automatically instead of having to manually enter all of those little hours into your payroll. This will do it for you. All right, it looks like we are almost out of time here. I want to go over a couple of extra important information. So I'm going to share my other screen. I've got just a couple of slides for those of you who are interested in more resources and all of the different plans that we offer. So we have recently condensed our plans. We have made it really simple and easy for you to figure out which plan you will need. So if you have up to 100 users, you'll be on the small business plan with us. That is going to include all of the tools that we talked about today. If you just need scheduling capabilities, just turn on the scheduling. And if you need any attendance tools, so any clocking in, clocking out tools, early clock-in prevention, mobile clock-in with that GPS enforcement, all of that will come with the attendance add-on. A great benefit of using the attendance add-on along with your scheduling, I mean, just one of the benefits is getting those labor reports. So it's going to be using data from your scheduler and from your attendance tool and creating different reports for you so you can get a better understanding of what's happening at your workplace and how your employees are doing. All right, you can upgrade your account and manage your subscription all within your When I Work account on your own time. What you'll do is you'll hover over the gear icon, click down into account and billing. From there, you'll click upgrade my account and it will pop up this little pop-up. By default, you'll have scheduling and messaging turned on. And if you want the time clock and attendance tool, you can add that here. Then you'll choose your billing frequency. By default, we have a monthly billing option. We bill monthly, no contract. And if you do want to do annual billing, we have that option as well. You will have a 5% discount if you choose annual billing, and you'll be kind of locked in at the accounts that you choose at a minimum, but you can always upgrade for that prorated cost at any time during your billing cycle. From there, you'll click checkout to activate your account. And then you'll choose the amount of users you need. We bill in groups of 5, and then you can purchase all from within your account. So really easy. But if you do have any questions, you can always contact us. We do take live chats. If you log into your account, you can click the chat bubble on the lower right-hand side. You can also get some help articles from our help center. And we also have a phenomenal training center. So if you need any setup videos to help you get your account started, from A to Z, check out our training center. Tiffany has also sent out all of these resources. So all the links that you need to get into our help center, to our training center, some pre-recorded demos that might help you. So check out the chat tool. We'll leave it up for a while after this as well. For all of those links, you can copy and paste that onto your desktop as well if you're using a desktop today. You can also email us at gettingstarted@wheniwork.com if you haven't started your account yet, or if you prefer email to live chat, but we are available on live chat starting right after this. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us to reach out for that one-on-one help. We want to make sure that you get started as seamlessly as possible and get all your questions answered. So thank you everyone for joining us today on the When I Work webinar. Again, if you have any questions, just let us know. Thanks everyone. Bye.